All right, it's district breakdown time. I got my man Jon Poorman from the Houston Chronicle, and we are talking about one of the districts he's very familiar with, 136A, spending some time up in that area. Last year was the New Caney year. They went through the thing undefeated. It was kind of a shock to most people, but they did do it, and they got themselves a district title. But that may change here in 2023. Who do you have as a favorite this year?
Yeah, what a great season for New Caney. Their first year in 6A, going undefeated in the regular season, winning that district title, like you mentioned. Big changes for the Eagles. Obviously, Coach Travis Reeve is going back down towards where he's from, going to take over the El Campo program. So that's obviously a big change for this program. It'll be interesting to see how the players, the returning players, kind of work through that transition phase and how they respond to that. But certainly, New Caney has been a playoff contender even before they came to 6A and 5A. They were winning district titles. So they've started to gain a lot of momentum here in recent years. As far as being a legitimate program and having a winning culture despite, some, head coaching turnover. So, I like their chances to get back in the playoffs again. They have, a lot of talented athletes out there. But, when I look at this district, it's really hard every year to bet against the Woodlands. Of course, everybody knows their track record in this district. Obviously, they finished second to New Caney last year, and that was their only loss in a really close game. But, you look at what they've done under Mark Schmidt and now under Jim Rapp, and year in and year out, they're going to the playoffs. I think they've got like 26, 27 consecutive playoff appearances. So they're essentially a lock to go to the postseason. And with the quarterback returning like maybe Matire, I mean, you got to like their chances here at the district title. Mabry is one of the best quarterback prospects in the country for the class of 2024. And, he's been the MVP of this district. But, one team that you can't count out, that's going to be the Willis Wildcats. You know, um, they got DJ Lagway. He's one of the top quarterback prospects in this class as well. So you're talking about uh, plentiful riches at the signal caller position up there in 13-6A. But Lagway is the real deal. He suffered. He had some injury issues towards the end of last season in district play. They didn't quite get into the playoffs, finished at 4-4 in district, but I really like their chances. They got some playmakers around him, but he's certainly an X factor and has a chance to really take this Willis program potentially where it hasn't been for a while. So definitely keep your eye on the Wildcats.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Miller earlier this week, and he's very excited about this team, and he had that success over there at spring, and he's willing to get that thing going. Man, a lot of good individual talent. You talked about Matoyer, you talked about Lagway. Man, over at Oak Ridge, they got some players too. I mean, they got Adrian Peterson's stepbrother with Frankie Arthur, and then they got one of the better defenders in the whole state in Justin Williams.
Yeah, Oak Ridge should certainly be a factor again as well. They got into the playoffs last year at 6-2 in this district, and as you mentioned, Frankie Arthur, that kid, I got to see him against Stratford last year. He is a tank. I mean, if they're going to give him the ball 15 to 20 times a game, watch out because that kid can really play. He runs downhill. He's hard to tackle. Obviously, he reminds me a lot of Adrian Peterson, to be honest. And he had kind of a breakout season this past year. But then, yeah, on the defensive side of the ball, Oak Ridge has got some players, man. And, it starts with Justin Williams, who you mentioned, who's one of the top defensive prospects in the state and in the country. He's big time. He really, stood out to me when I got to see them play last year as well. He's kind of all over the field making plays. So Oak Ridge for sure. Of course, they have, the veteran winner and Mark Schmidt as the head coach there. And what he's been able to do with this program has been really impressive since he took over. And, they're looking at potentially getting into the playoffs for another season here.
And if we take a quick look at the rest of the district, I know Grand Oaks has got Sean McDowell coming up from Foster, and maybe talk about can he turn that program around? You got College Park trying to get in the postseason as well. Just talk about the rest of this district.
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, Grand Oaks, they lose coach Mike Jackson, who kind of retired there, and Sean McDowell, I think, is a great hire. Obviously, he had some good success at Foster. So he's going to bring that winning culture, that winning mentality up to Grand Oaks. I think it's a great opportunity for them to kind of get a little bit of a fresh start and continue to build that program. This is still a really young program, so you have to keep that in mind. They're playing 6A ball. So I would look for them to definitely improve this season. And then you mentioned College Park, who has been a solid playoff contender here in recent years. Obviously, the big loss there is head coach Lonnie Madison, who's now at Bridgeland. But we'll see how it goes for the Cavaliers. Madison has done a great job since he took over that program and building it up and kind of setting new expectations for the Cavaliers year in and year out.
Sweet. Well, it's going to be a tough district to get through, get 4 out of the 9 teams into the postseason, but 4 teams got to do it. So let's see how that is.
Yeah, and another team I'll mention here is Conroe. Coach Cedric Hardman. He's done a great job too. They got into the playoffs last year. They were the last team and the fourth place team there. So, the Tigers are going to be a factor once again. They've really, I feel like, have turned the corner since he took over as head coach. And there were a lot of really rough years there before he took over that program, and they've turned into a really solid team year after year.
It's going to be fun going down the stretch. And next week, we're going to talk about the district they'll play in the playoffs, which is 14-6A, the Spring and the Aldine School. So I'll talk to you next week.
All righty, sounds good.